What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Built for Backroads. If you're new here, my name is Marcus. We talk about real world machines, building them out so we can have some fun without going broke in the process. So in the last video, we talked about my 2015 GMC Sierra. So we're going to go into a little bit more of a deep dive on that today. So first things first is the power. This is the 4.3 liter V6 engine with a whopping 285 horsepower, 305 pound-feet of torque, and a total capacity of 7,200 pounds, which compared to some other trucks in this class is rookie numbers. I think if you're expecting to do a lot of towing with this, you can. It's going to struggle a little bit. It's going to fight you. But if you're doing some light towing, light hauling, you'll be just fine. If you're like moving a couch, moving a desk, even dragging around a couple motorcycles, wink wink nudge nudge, this truck is perfectly fine for that. But compared to the other two engine options that you get, let me get my spec sheet here. You have the 5.3 liter V8 pushing 355 horsepower, 383 pound-feet of torque, and 11,200 pounds for that towing capacity. And then for that 6.2 liter, where you're getting 420, 460, and 12,000. So again, those numbers make this truck look like a toddler. But if you are, again, if you're like me and you just bought a truck but you don't need to do truck things, it's great. A little more about this V6. It gets out of its own way pretty well. You know, if you're driving down the highway and you got a yam on it to get around someone, you can definitely do that. However, sometimes when you're merging onto a highway and you have a truck that's like being a little butthole and they're going to match you, you might struggle a little bit. But if you give it the beans, it's kind of like that friend that you have that's down the clown, and then you have an idea of something that you know you shouldn't do, and they're definitely going to do it, but they think about it, but they're going to say yes anyway before they say yes. That's what it's like when you give this some gas and you're really trying to move. It's going to go. It's going to make you think about it just a little bit. It's going to make you think that it thought about it, but it's going to go. And again, it's not going to win any races, but it moves around just fine, especially for day-to-day driving. You know, I just drive this truck to and from work. I have about a 5-6 minute commute to work, which it is what it is, right? But even just like if I have to go a little bit farther, you know, if I want to drive somewhere, let's say that's like 35-40 miles away, this truck can handle that no problem. And the fuel economy that I get with this is awesome. Pushing about 25 miles per gallon on the highway, which is great. Like, I'm saving some money at the pump. It's still a truck. I think it's got a 22 or 24 gallon tank. I'll have to double check that. And I have to double check that just to be sure. But like, yes, you cry a little bit when you fill up your truck at the pump. But because you get that great gas mileage with this truck, it feels a little bit better. Driving around town, again, has been pretty great. The one thing that I would say has been a problem is I get that Chevy shudder, and it's somewhere between like 45 and 50 miles per hour. If you're kind of just holding it, you'll feel the car start to just give this little shudder like you're driving on a rumble strip. The fix that I had for that was switching from 87 to mid-grade gas. That's it. And it took that shudder away. So I don't know if that's something with the air to fuel mixture. But I guess I'm just going to keep running mid-grade for now and see if anything changes with that. The ride quality on here is great. It's a very quiet, comfortable ride. It absorbs bumps in the road pretty well. Although you do get the upgraded suspension on here, I think one of its shortcomings is it's a little stiff, and that could just be me not being completely used to this. There's a hill near my job. It's a brick road, and it's got some nice dips in it. So I'm like moving around, hanging on for dear life, but I'm not like bouncing around. So like, it definitely feels stable-ish, but I think because the suspension could be a little more forgiving. I don't know the exact words. Again, I'm still learning trucks. This is my first truck. But compare that to my friend who has a Ram Rebel. You know, if I'm in his truck and we drive over the same road, I I have to double check to make sure that he hit the same potholes that I hit, because you don't feel a thing. Again, I didn't buy this truck to go off-road. I think if I want a softer or more premium suspension, it's something that I can definitely do in the future, but definitely not for right now, because this is just my daily driver. The ride is also pretty quiet. The only thing that I really hear on the freeway, on the highway, is sirens and anything that is like straight piped. Like I don't even hear a scat pack go by unless it's straight piped with no cats. It's great. And the one time that I really noticed this, so in January, I was parked outside of the building. I was out of the truck. You know, I was getting lunch, walking back to my truck so I could go back to work, and a large chunk of ice fell from the roof of a building and onto the roof of my truck. I don't know if I have a picture of that, but if I do, I will put it here so you can see it. I cried a little bit because I thought that I was going to have to pay for it. But because it was a city building, the city where I live paid for it, and it was great. But I heard some road noise as I was still driving the truck, because it was still drivable. I could hear, you know, rain falling. I could hear other cars going by. I could hear those other exhausts. And I mean, I really heard some sirens. And if you haven't been like outside and a police officer or an ambulance goes flying by and that siren's blaring, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But after the roof of my truck got fixed, it reminded me how quiet that ride was, because I didn't hear a thing after that. And I think the guy that actually did it, I think he did some more that he didn't tell me and had the city pay for it. So thank you. Like I really don't hear a thing now. Like I can hear some sirens, but like they're much softer than they were when I first got this truck. So the biggest downfalls of this truck, one kind of comes with the engine. So this is a full-size truck. I live in Pennsylvania, where there are a lot of hills. Sometimes she struggles a little bit getting up those hills. It's nothing that I'm super concerned about. You just give a little bit of gas and it'll go. But it's like every so often it feels like I have to, it's like it revs again. And I'm like, you know, if I put a different exhaust on there, I'm really going to seem like a hooligan. I'm going to seem like I'm a 16-year-old kid that just wants to hear his exhaust and be loud and obnoxious. So I'm really looking for a quiet exhaust whenever I get to that. But I think that's the biggest downfall, I would say, of this truck. It's just kind of like that lack of power with some of the hills that I drive over. Now, I used to live in Michigan, and Michigan's a little bit more flat. So when I go visit my parents there and drive around, like I really don't have any problems. And then the other thing, which is super nitpicky for me, this is a GMC. So GMC loves to sell you on premium trucks, premium vehicles, which is great. This is still technically a premium vehicle. However, I think there could have been a little bit more done on the interior. This is kind of like that base, like a step above that base level, so we're not going to get everything in there. I think if I'm being super nitpicky, and this is just me being very nitpicky, I think there should have been a bigger screen in here. Again, this is a 2015 model year, so like CarPlay wasn't standard. They still kind of had those LCD screens going around everywhere. But I think that where GM was at that point, they could have done a little bit better, especially compared to some other vehicles that they released. It's not bad, but it's nothing that I would brag about. The sound system is okay. I definitely want to swap those out at some point. But I am relatively overall very happy with this truck. I think it was a great purchase for me and for the things that I need. So, who is this truck for? I think if you are a guy or gal that likes trucks but doesn't need to do truck things, this is perfect. It can be your daily driver. It can be your long commuter, and save you some money at that gas pump. It can still tow the things that you need it to tow, like if you say, you know, a couple motorcycles, maybe a smaller car, a couch, bed frame, all that kind of stuff, you know, apartment moving. This truck is great, especially if you just like trucks. Or if you want something that is very easy to work on and maintain, this is a great option, especially as a first truck for someone that hasn't necessarily driven a truck before. I think this is a great step into that world. As a first car, I mean, yes, it is a full-size truck, so it's going to be a little bit safer, but like at the cost, there are, I think, some better options for a first vehicle. So that about wraps it up for today. Thank you so much for being here. Let me know in the comments if you have a V6 truck, the things that you love about it and the things that you hate about it. Or if you have this 2015 GMC Sierra 1500 SLE All Terrain like I do. Tell me how your experience has been with it. Thank you so much for being here. See ya.